We have been driven by our culture to learn to relate to other people. Matter of fact, our parents have literally taught us how not to be single. Our parents emphasized the idea that we should get along with people, get along with the other kids, get along with them neighbors, get along. We've been taught to get along with people. So we've been built in our culture to always try to get along with other people. That's the way we've been conditioned to think. We've been forced almost to get to know people. And so we grow up in a culture where there's a contradiction, because we want to get to know people, but we don't know how to get to know people. We need the baby to take out for a minute, please, because they're recording this. Thank you very much. Appreciate the baby, but the baby is being recorded, so I'll appreciate if you slip out for a minute and calm the baby down, and then you can bring the baby back. Matter of fact, that's my little cute little grandbaby down there, praise the Lord. I adopted that kid. Yeah, I think the baby, he heard my voice. Papa. This point I'm telling you is very important. And the thing is, this happened when you didn't even know it happened. You've been trained to focus on other people. Share with your brother. Don't eat that by yourself. Get along with those people. Why can't your kids get along with each other? And everything is conditioned on other people. And that's why we're not equipped to have relationships. Here's why. Because the most important relationship in life should not be interpersonal relationship. But that's what we've been taught. Get along with your neighbor. Get to know people. Go out, girl. Move around. Get to know some people, boy. And we've been pushed. But the most important relationship is the other one. It is intrapersonal relationships. You cannot have interpersonal relationship until you have settled the intrapersonal relationship. But our culture doesn't teach that. How many times have you ever heard your parents say while you were growing up, boy, why don't you love yourself? Girl, love yourself. Never. And so we almost grow up with the idea that we are not lovable, likable, and shouldn't even be loved by ourselves, which is the foundation of our problems. The reason is because if you don't know who you are, don't understand who you are, you don't appreciate who you are, and have no knowledge of who you are, then you cannot love, appreciate, or value other people. So the most important pursuit in life is self-knowledge. And this is what singleness is all about. Singleness is about finding yourself, loving yourself, valuing yourself, putting the highest estimation on yourself, accepting yourself, understanding yourself, and then appreciating yourself so much that now you can share yourself with someone else. But our cultures don't teach that. Now, let me give you 5 things to write down. People think that they need to get married to be fulfilled. And this is the pressure part of our culture. If you are 35 and you ain't married, they think something's wrong with you. Maybe you are homosexual. Maybe you're a lesbian. What are you doing? And especially if your friends are girls or boys like yourself, they begin to think all kind of funny things. In other words, they almost think that if you ain't married, you are strange. You are awkward. This is dangerous and it's wrong. You don't need to be married to fulfill God's will. Let no one put you under that pressure. Don't allow anyone to suggest to you that unless you are married, you can't fulfill God's purpose. Marriage is not a requirement for fulfilling your purpose. As a matter of fact, marriage is designed only for earth. And what I mean by that is you will discover in the biblical culture that Jesus was very specific when they asked him about life after death. He said in the afterlife there is no marriage nor giving in marriage. So everybody say thank you, Jesus. Let me tell you why, because some of y'all can't wait to get rid of that person. Imagine living with them forever and ever. Boy, that's a depressing experience. So thank God it's only for earth. So marriage is really a temporary agreement between two people to live in a context of holy covenant. But it's not a requirement to fulfill God's will. And why is that important? That means that you should get busy fulfilling God's will. Stop looking for someone to marry. Let them find you. I know that sounds simple and maybe it's tough for you, but I have discovered that if you don't do that, you're going to do some dumb things. You're going to make some dumb decisions. So don't feel pressured that you have to wait for someone before you get busy with God's will. Point number 4, failure in marriage can derail your purpose in your life. Not only is marriage not necessary to fulfill God's purpose for your life, but it might interrupt the purpose. How many people you know were doing well until they got married? I mean, they were on focus. They got their life in order. They were serving God. They were building their business. They had a good situation going, building their house. They were on a target. And then they got married to some bum or some girl who don't know what she wants. And then life just messes up. It happens often. So marriage itself could be a destructive experience. So don't think that marriage is all that they paint it up to be. Believe me, marriage is a very dangerous thing. There's some in this room who could tell you the dangers that they've been through, the stress. So I want to relieve you from that pressure. And number 5, it is better to be unmarried and happy. Say yes, Seagulls. Come on, go with me here. Yeah, boy, I tell you. Some folks are married right now and they wish they was you. You hear them say free at last? They say free again, great God Almighty, let me be free again. But they say loose goat don't know how tie goat feel. Write that one down. That's a good one to remember. It is better to be what? Unmarried than to be married and depressed. Listen, and this is true. The loneliest people I've ever met are married people. Do you know why? Nothing can be more lonely than being stuck in a marriage that ain't working. Man, that's hell on earth. You can't get out. It's loneliness. So please, if you are unmarried, give God praise. Y'all ain't excited yet, man. Don't rush into stuff that people can't wait to get out of. So don't pressure yourself into that. Write this down. Divorce is not the unpardonable sin. The reason why I put that there, because sometimes people go through a bad experience and they do experience divorce and then they feel that their life ain't going to work anymore. God doesn't want to use them anymore. His purpose ain't going to be fulfilled anymore. That is not true. God forgives all sins, including unfaithfulness or the breaking of a covenant in marriage. This is not an unpardonable sin. Many great people have gone on to change the world after a divorce. Catherine Kuhlman was a divorcee. She changed the world. What a powerful woman. So sometimes we run on hard times and things don't work out. Pick yourself up and don't just get custody of the kids. That's what people do most of the time. They miss the point. First, you get custody of yourself. Get yourself back. And so don't be afraid to not be married. It's not the solution to any problems. Sometimes it's the formation of great problems. God says something about divorce. Interesting. And I wanted to put it up here because I think this has to do with, I want to frighten you away from marriage. Just for a reason, right? First of all, the ultimate trauma in life is divorce. Malachi 2:16 says, what? Read it out loud together. I hate divorce, says the Lord, God of Israel. And I hate a man's covering himself with violence, as well as with his garment, says the Lord Almighty. Notice he ties divorce with violence. Why? Because divorce is a violent act. When you bond with another person, bonding is a dangerous word. Bonding is like shooting webs at each other, like a spider web. Every time you speak to someone, you shoot a web. Every time they listen to you, they get a web. And the more you talk to someone, the more webs are created. And then the deeper the conversation gets, the thicker the webs become. If I say to you good morning, and you say good morning back, there's a web. There's a bond between us. But it's a very shallow bond. If I say to you, good morning, how are you doing, and how's your family, that's a little deeper bond. I'm entering your life now. And if I ask you, okay, how is your children, how's your oldest child? Now I'm getting into a deeper bond. And then if I get into questions like, what do you want to do with your life the next 20 years? That's a deeper bond. I'm prying into your destiny now. What are the things that really hurt you the most in your life? That's a deeper bond. See, and you got to be careful who you bond with and what questions you ask. Because there's certain relationships you got to keep them at the thin level. You don't want to get too deep. Like if you're married, you got to be careful what you ask other people of the opposite sex. Because you don't want certain bonds to be connected or created. If you're not serious about a relationship, don't get into deep questions. Because people start bonding with you. Sometimes you hear people say, well, you know, I just took out for lunch or took him out for dinner and we were chatting and all of a sudden he thinks I like him. Well, it depends on what you all talked about. This is serious. You got to understand this. You start talking to a person about, well, what are your dreams for the next 5 years? Right away you're telling me you want to get at a deeper level in my life. That's a serious bond you want to connect. I mean, you know, you are nosy now. You push it. You're getting down into some thick webs. And once those webs get thick, and that's why marriage is so dangerous, because marriage is not just bonding mentally and socially and psychologically and you know, and emotionally, but you get now into physical bonding, which is sex, and that's a deep bond, because now I gave you myself. And divorce is trying to break that bond, all those bonds, and you can never break a bond. If you are bonded at that level, and sometimes it's even not even marriage, you might be going along with someone for 5 years. You all been, you know, close to each other, and you've been courting or whatever you call it for 5 years. There's some thick bonds in there. You isolated yourself from other people to bond with this person. So them bonds are deep, and you decide you can break it off. It ain't that simple. It's almost like a marriage. And you cannot break a bond. You can't even cut it. You have to tear it. And that is called a broken heart. A broken heart is bleeding bonds. They are open wounds. They were ripped from your emotions, from your psyche, from your spirit. And that's why relationships are very dangerous. You don't want to develop at levels that you can't be responsible for. And that's why God says, I hate divorce. Divorce is traumatizing. It's the ripping of two people's bonds apart. No lawyer can give you a divorce. Impossible. No judge can give you a divorce. Impossible. What they give you is a piece of paper. They cannot give you an emotional divorce. That's why when you leave the classroom, all hell breaks. I mean, when you leave the courtroom, rather, all hell breaks loose after that for months. Because it ain't as simple as you thought. And if kids are involved, the bonds are twice as thick. So he's saying before you even get into marriage, think about this. Can I handle the ripping? Can I handle wounds that last for 10 years? I'm still licking them. And then every time I see this person in the food store, some blood comes out again. And I see them in the school picking up the kids, the blood. You know, do you want that trauma? Or would you rather just be happy until you find the right person that you ain't never going to get divorced from? That's what he's talking about. That's the violence part of it. It's violent to get a divorce. And some of you divorcees in the room know what I'm talking about. It is violent. It upsets your life for years. And so the question is, why does God hate it? He hates it because there's no cure for the broken heart. No pill you can take for a broken heart. And some of you all tried. You can drink all the liquor you want. When it wears off, your heart's still broken. That's the way it works. That's why God hates divorce. Because the wound that it creates cannot be healed by medication. Matter of fact, the Bible says the only thing that can heal a broken heart, listen carefully, only one thing on earth that can heal it, only one. It says, and Jesus spoke these words. He said, the Spirit of God is upon me. Watch him now. He says, and he has anointed me, and he listed some things. But he separated one of them. He says, to heal the brokenhearted. You can only survive a broken heart with a personal encounter with Jesus. Nothing else, he says. You can take all the Fensic you want, Tylenol, drink liquor, take drugs, whatever you want. When it wears off, you're still hurting. Only he can fix that. It is that bad. God says, I hate divorce, but he doesn't hate the divorcee. So you are loved, my dear. You've been through a rough life. It's been tough, but it's okay. He still loves you. He never wants you to experience that thing again. And that's why a single seminar is so important. Again, my purpose for this few minutes is to talk you out of marriage. I want you to settle into the look, let me not rush into this thing anymore. Let me settle into being single right now. Because some of you all coming here looking for someone. I know, winking, looking. Listen, calm down. Ain't nothing wrong with that, but you know, that's not your priority right now. Yeah? Divorce is tragic because divorce is the death of a relationship. It's actually a death. And the same thing that happens when a family member dies happens to you when you get divorced. The same emotional problems, the same psychological experience. It's the same. Because something died. It's traumatizing. And so you go through the very same experiences. It's just like physical death. Because divorce is death without a burial. That makes it worse than a physical death. When someone dies, you can always bury them and get rid of them, right? Go to the graveyard, put them in the hole, put some flowers on it, go home, and never go back. The problem is with a divorce, You bury the person, but you keep seeing them at the food store. You pull up to the gas station. Oh, my God. Here we go again, you know. You go to pick up do the school pickup. Oh, my God. There's the person. So they keep resurrecting. And every time they resurrect, the pain hits again. That's worse than death. So you don't want to have that kind of life for the rest of your life. It's very, very tough. And that's why God says he hates for anyone to experience divorce. Now, why do we talk about that? Because it's impossible to get a divorce unless you are married. So I'm building something here. The greatest and most horrific trauma is divorce. It's worse than physical death. But you can't experience it unless you are married. So marriage is the prerequisite for divorce. It's impossible to get a divorce without marriage. And marriage, therefore, is only possible where two single people get together. So you can see the connection here. Eh? If you don't want to experience a divorce, you don't get married. If you don't want to get married, you stay single. Now, if you get married as two single people, you get marriage now. If it doesn't work, you're heading toward a divorce court. So the foundation of all of that is singleness. And that's why being single is the most important pursuit in life. Matthew 19, one of my favorite statements. Jesus said these words. They asked Christ a question. Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and what? Every reason. That's the Bahamians now, boy. They get divorced for any reason. You look at me funny, I go into the courtroom. You burn the food, forget that. That's it. It's out. That's it. You know, people just getting divorced for all kind of stuff today. He answered them, haven't you read that at the beginning, the Creator made them male and female? He ignored the question and went back to the recipe. They asked him about divorce. He went back to something different. He went back to male and female. He said divorce is not the problem. Divorce is a symptom. Something went wrong with the product that fell apart. And the product fell apart because the ingredients that were used were not right. Do you see the connection? Divorce comes from marriage. Marriage comes from male and female. He says if you have a divorce issue, it's because if you go down to the lowest denominator, something was wrong with the ingredients. If your cake is salty, what happened? Come on, tell me. You put salt in it before you bake it. In other words, it ain't the cake. Don't blame the cake. It's what you put in the cake. So the ingredients determine the product. We keep wanting the perfect cake and putting a lot of salt in the flour when we mix it. We keep expecting success when we are building with failure. We want perfection with defects. Somehow we think that a miracle happens at the altar. You know, that slow sign shoes and that big white dress. We figure, man, that person got to be perfect. That dress looked too nice. Sometimes the greatest curse is coming down the aisle. Or sometimes the biggest demon is waiting there with. And you smile all your way up to the demon. And your Father who loves you hands you over. Yeah. Nothing changes in that church. Nothing. What came in goes out with you. That's life. So he says, look, he says the problem is something went wrong at the foundation level. The male and female was contaminated, he says. Something was not right with the individuals, the singles. So he took it back to the singles. He said God didn't make marriage first. He said no, marriage is not God's main issue. God's main issue is male and female. He said that's what God began with. So he placed the priority where it belongs. And he says, for this reason should a man leave his mother and father and be united to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. What reason? The word there is beginning, male and female. Go back and find out what kind of male and female God used in the beginning. That's what makes the thing work. So any male after chapter 3 of Genesis and any female after chapter 3 of Genesis, you got to pray hard. Because you got yourself a fallen male and a corrupted female, and you still want God's perfect product. That's what he's talking about. He's saying, look, God didn't start with the junk you guys are. Y'all are junk. Y'all got to come back and get fixed up first. Then try God's product again. And this is why we need to come to the manufacturer. Not to be religious. You need to get fixed. Because if you don't get him to fix you, you're going to fix somebody when you marry them. Unless you get the people in your life, they're causing you more heartache than anyone could imagine. You, like the person who loves you beating you up. It's confusing. So here's the issue then. Your marriage is only as good as your singleness. Write that down. People come to me all the time. I want you to pray for my marriage. I'm sitting there going, now let's see. Which one do I need to pray for? Her or him? Because marriage ain't the problem. You in the marriage. If it ain't working, you are part of this equation. A lady came to me one time. She says, the devil is in my marriage. I said, yep. You're right. There are two of them. You bring to the marriage what you are as a single. No more, no less. So don't walk around pretending that this thing is his fault or her fault. Listen, even in relationships, I'm not talking about, let's jump back from marriage a little bit. Let's go back just to relationships. Here you are, you meet somebody, and you all have an interest in each other. But listen, it's still the same thing. Whatever you bring to the relationship, that's what it is. Whatever the other person brings, that's what it is. It ain't no mystery in this. So you don't think, well, because we come together, then there can be something better that we create. No. Whatever you are, that's what you create. So it's more important for you to make sure you bring the best to the relationship. Which means that you got to become the best before you bring the best. So you focus on yourself to become the best. So that when you work on working you're together with someone, you bring the best contribution to them. A lot of people are defects, not assets. They will devalue you by association. They will destroy your value. So here's what I think. Marriage is like an omelet. It's only as good as the eggs. I always say this because I think it gives us a clear picture. No matter how much you want the omelet to work, it's only as good as the eggs in it. So you can pray over an omelet all you want. It depends on the eggs you use. Omelets are determined by the quality of the eggs. Marriage is like the omelet. It's already together. So the question is, what made this omelet? I told you all about an experiment I did years ago, but boy, my mom fussed me with that one. I intentionally took an egg and I took a pin and I cracked the top of it with a little hole. Because when you crack an egg, put a hole in it, bacteria get inside and it rottens the egg. I didn't know eggs smell so stink until that day. It's the foulest scent you want to smell. Because an egg is actually a dead animal. So I cracked this egg, and it was stink. I put it in the refrigerator. You couldn't smell it, because it was still cool. I was shocked to find out that the good egg was completely overtaken by the rotten egg. And the omelet was completely stink. You don't get the revelation yet? No matter how good you are, if the other person has cracks in their character, bacteria in their emotions, they got germs in their psychology, and they smell in their when you crack with them, they win. Somehow we get this idea that after we get married, I'm going to change this person. Doesn't work, does it? No. So the best thing to do is don't crack at all. Don't be unequally yoked up with other people. But here's the worst part of the egg. Once you have an omelet, you can never get eggs again. And that's the ripping part. You can never be separated like you was. Do you know that folks in this room who are divorced are still carrying their old marriage with them? It stays with you. Your history is you. God gives counsel so that you can enjoy your memories. Comprende? When God gives you an instruction or a command, he may even give you a warning. He's really protecting your memory. So God says, do not fornicate. That means don't have sex with anybody you ain't in covenant with in marriage. Now, he doesn't explain a lot. He's protecting your memory. There are some things right now that you wish you could forget. And they're not pleasant. High school. College. Sorry, I didn't mean to take you back there, but you see what I'm saying? So when God says don't do certain things, he loves you so much, he don't want your memories to be a problem. He wants you to enjoy your memories. Because he knows what kind of creature he made. You carry your life with you. So make sure it's one that you want to carry. So here's my big question. You want people to marry you all the time. But here's a question you ever ask yourself. If you knew all you know about you, would you marry you? Think about it. I mean, think about what you know about you. The secret stuff you're doing. The private things no one knows about. It's amazing how we want people to just take this thing with them. Take me home to you, with you. Well, what is you? Not who, what is you? What is this I'm getting here? Would you marry you with all those habits you got? Spitting in the basin while you're brushing your teeth? All messed up with spit. I mean, you want someone to live with that? Your bad breath in the morning, Jesus, Lord have mercy. You take this breath home, baby. Take it home. You know, what you mean, take it home? And you see, you know, humans are strange. They always look good in public. Look how nice you dress. I wonder how you look at 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't know. You take your shoes off. You know, take my shoes with you, baby. Take my toe jam home with you. We just take it for granted folks want to marry us. Are you the kind of person that I could enjoy living with for 90 years? Think about it. Prepare yourself to do that for someone. Some people don't bathe. I'm not talking to you now. They're not in this room. I know them. They're not in this room. I'm sure of that. But when they pass you, you can smell, hey. Their glory follows them. And they want you to marry them. What do you have that I could live with forever? And that's what we ask people to do. So, take care of your life first. Matter of fact, here's another question. Could you live with you for the rest of your life? I think that's why he's trying to find someone, because you can't handle it. Like, this is too much burden for me. I got to share this mess with somebody else. But we never think about these things, do we? We're like, hey, you know, you love me. You will love me. I promise you will love me if you take me home forever. No, they won't. Mess them people's lives up. Are you a gift or are you a curse? Are you a promotion to me or are you a demotion? What is it that you have that will improve my life? Stay single until you get that all sorted out. Because that's what singleness is. It's about finding yourself. Here's one to remember, and I call this myth, you know. This is a myth. People think that being single is a bad thing. But it's not a singles problem that you have. It's being single. That's your problem. In other words, we use this term single and we throw it around. We don't even know what it means. You know, say, I'm tired being single. You ain't never been single. Let me say it again. You say, I'm tired being single. I'm telling you, you ain't never been single. All you're being is unmarried. They're different. You want to be single. You don't want to stop being single. So we confuse the two. We think that our problem is that we're not married. Well, you're right. Never confuse single with being alone. The word alone means to be exclusive. That means you're all the only one of your kind. That's not true. There are a lot of males, a lot of females in the world, so you're not alone. Now, you might be lonely, but you're never alone. Loneliness is a sign of a problem. Matter of fact, singleness is a state to be pursued, not avoided. And to be single should be the goal of even the married person. Because it is the singleness that keeps your marriage together. It's a paradox, eh? Let's see how that works. The principal issue is being unmarried, not being single. Never confuse unmarried with being single. A lot of people think that they are single. You know, they're suffering from singleness or something. No, you're suffering from unmarriedness. Whatever that word is. In other words, what we really mean is we want to get married. That's what we mean when we say, I'm tired being single. What we're saying is, I want to get married. You're using the wrong terminology, and that's why we're confused. Because you get married, and then you were never single, and your marriage is a disaster. Because it is singleness that makes the marriage possible. Marriage is two whole people coming together. If you are not a whole person, and I'm a whole person, and you marry me, you're going to be a parasite. You're going to suck me to death. Suck the life out of me because you are not complete. So you're going to use me to try to become complete. You're no longer a blessing. You are a burden now. You suck my life out of me. And there are people who you know this is happening to right now. Their spouse is sucking their life out of them because they got defects. They lack so much. Most married people have never been single, and that is why unmarried is a state, while singleness is a disposition. You are in the state of not being married right now, if you are not married. That's a state you are in. But singleness is different. It's not a state. It's a disposition. It is an assessment of your entity, who I am. And most people have never achieved that before they get married. So here's what I always say. It's okay to be single, but not okay to be alone. The first thing God found that was wrong with Adam was he was alone. God never told him it's not good to be single. Adam was single. He was complete and whole. Didn't need it. Matter of fact, the proof that Adam was whole and single was the fact that God had to decide that he needed a mate. Let me say it slow. The proof that Adam was completely single was evidenced by the fact that Adam didn't even know he needed anybody. God made the decision. Genesis 2:18. God said, it is not good for this man to be alone. Adam had no complaint. He never talked to God about it. The guy was having so much fun, naming animals, walking on the water, and talking to trees. The guy was having fun. He was taking over that garden, dominating. I mean, he was in his purpose. He was on the groove. He was moving. And God says, I like this guy. He needs to share this with somebody. Relationships are for sharing your victories and success with, not to bring on new burdens and depression. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest. If you know somebody is stupid, dumb, aggravative, I mean, frustrating, they got all kind of disease in their bodies. Would you marry them? But you do. You just don't know until it's too late. We need to think about the fact that we are not really having an alone problem. God made another human to solve the alone problem. But he never questioned Adam's wholeness. Adam was completely single. So Jesus said that they're no longer two but one. What God is trying to get, let no man put asunder. Anyone who divorces his wife, except for adultery, of course, and marries another woman, commits adultery. And the disciples said unto him, if this is the situation between a husband and wife, it's better not to marry. Peter, James, and John said, my God, if that's the standard, you might as well stay unmarried. They heard something that frightened them. And I want to frighten you with it too. If marriage is that dangerous, let me stay unmarried for a while. Let me make sure I get this right. Life is too short for you to miss the first time. Hit it right the first time. After all, you're a little bit too old right now. You can't afford no trial and error. You will hit this thing right the first time. Say amen if you agree with me. Yeah, you don't want no trial and error here. Matter of fact, when you all get married, I want you to call me. I want to do the ceremony. And one of the vows going to be, and I will not experiment with you. This is it. You leave me, it's because I killed you. Lord, I take that back. Woo, Lord help me. Look at how he closes the thing. Jesus said, look, Jesus said, not everyone can accept this word about marriage. Only those for whom it has been what? Given. In other words, not everybody can handle this standard. It's tough to become single. Take your time, because if you jump before you are completely whole and separate and unique, you're going to have problems. Not everybody is ready for this, he says. And he goes on to say, some even have become this way because they were born that way. They're not interested. There's nothing wrong with them. They just don't want to have any, covenant between anybody. They just want to enjoy everybody, have a good time, and fulfill God's will. But they're happy. That's fine. You don't got to be no nun to do that. Just decide, I don't want to get married. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You want to put your energies in God's work and to help humanity. And people do it all the time. That's a unit for helping nations. Others have renounced marriage because of what? The kingdom of heaven. Some of them understand that, look, I want to serve God's kingdom, and this is what I want to do, and I need all my time to do it. I can't share my time with nobody. So that's a decision you can make. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And look at it. Jesus is recommending it, actually. So marriage is not a requirement to fulfill God's will. So don't you feel pressure. You go to here tomorrow, I don't want you to feel no pressure at all. Don't let nobody pressure you. It's okay to be who you are right now and enjoy every minute of it. The last part, he says, The one who can accept this, let them accept it. Can't do it, don't touch it. So here's what I want to close on. Singleness is the most important state of human development. Singleness is the foundation of God's human family. He only made one human, and everyone came out of that one human. God began this human race with one person, not a couple. Sometimes we think that marriage is God's foundation of the human race. That's not true. He only made one person at the bottom. A single person. So God began all human relationships with a single person. Here's why that's important. What he's telling us is every relationship begins with the single. So you determine what happens in our relationship, and I determine what happens in our relationship. The single qualities of those people. So it's important for you to focus on singleness and not try to create relationships without first building who you are. God made you in his image, his likeness. He made them male and female. And we have all these wonderful truths here. The foundation of the human race is really a single person. So the most important people in the world are those sitting in this room who are unmarried. They're the most important. And they determine what's going to happen to us in the future as a country and as a community. And this is why all humans must begin a relationship with the single. What's the quality of your life? I encourage you to spend the next 2 days in every session coming to open up yourself to tap into what does it mean to be single. Because I have a definition in my book out there, which I'd be happy to autograph for you if you buy it, on singles. And this definition is what saved me. I got married to my wife. We've been married for 31 years, sitting over there. And our key to our marriage is our singleness. The way you measure if you're single is whether you need to be married. If you don't need to be married, you're probably ready to be married. Get it? Yeah. See, we sometimes, people make us feel guilty if we're not interested in marriage. But you're the perfect candidate for marriage if you don't need to be married. Because you are obviously close to being whole. Because it means that you are having a good life all by yourself. And that's a sign of wholeness. Wholeness means I don't need nobody to become somebody. I'm somebody all by. Come on, somebody go with me there. See, singleness means, hey, I don't need you to approve me. I don't need you to make me feel important. I don't need you to tell me how good I am because I know I'm good at this. In other words, wholeness means I am free from needing you. That's why I am good for you. Because I'm not coming to take from you. It's a mystery, isn't it? So if you need to be married, you are dangerous. If someone comes to you and says, I love you, don't you ever leave me, run. People say, you know, ever since you came into my life has been changed. And you know, I just want to thank God for you. They get really spiritual, you know. I want to thank God for you. I prayed for you all my life. And boy, I'm so glad you answered all my prayer. You know, boy, what is the, they putting pressure on you. Those people are sick. And you got to watch them ones who with them prophecies. You know, the Lord told me that I was going to marry you. You know, I got a dream last night. And the Lord spoke to me and says that the guy's name would be John. And stop lying. If you like the fella, tell him that, but don't lie on prophecy. God doesn't choose anyone for you. He gives you a brain and a power of choice. You analyze them, figure them out, and then choose. And whatever you wake up in the morning with, that's yours. God look at you, say, poor you. You're in trouble. God won't take your burden on for himself. He will never do that. Yeah. So this is what I want to define with. This word alone means all in one. And God separated Adam so that Adam could have someone to share with. And that was the bottom line of that. So this is where we get our definition from. Born again single means that you are now focusing on these three things to become whole. Whole means first to be separate. Separate means you are apart, detached, and different from everybody else. This is important. A lot of people are not this yet. They are 50 years old and still not separate. They always need people around them to feel important. They need people always in their company. Matter of fact, they hate to be by themselves because they are bad company to themselves. Separate means I am not my brother, I am not my sister, I am different from my friends, and don't try to make me over. I am me, leave me alone, I am separate from all of y'all. That's important because that's a part of your value. The second one is what? Unique. Unique means I am original. I've discovered that I have a distinct quality, a distinct design by God. I am not like anybody. My fingerprint is unmatched anywhere, and ain't nobody could be like me, and I can't be like nobody. Leave me alone. I like who I am. I am unique. I am different from you. I am special. Do you believe that about yourself yet? And the last one is what? Whole. Now, whole is a tough one. Being whole means that you are complete in yourself. You are unified with yourself, all of yourself. Your body, your mind, your spirit are all connected. You are in love with your whole self. It also means that you are one with yourself. That means you don't need anyone to complete you. This is so important, especially in the Bahamas culture, where we've been taught that this is my better half. Boy, that's a dangerous statement. This is my better half? Well, let's see. Let me figure this out now. Okay, I'm half. She's half. So I was half all these years. So now when I meet her, we both whole. And so what happens is I try to make sure I take as much from you as possible to become whole. You try to take as much from me as possible to become whole. So for 30 years, we keep fighting, trying to rob each other of each other. And that's why when we get a divorce, you jump off the bridge. Or you can't go to work. Or you become insane. Why? Because you're half a person. Listen, relationships are supposed to be two wholes coming into the connection to each other. If you and I are whole, I was trying to find a glass. I was doing my glass and water thing here. But if you are whole, let me tell you what the beauty for it. My wife, this works for us. My wife doesn't need me. And that's good for me. And I don't need her. We really don't. We can live apart and be happy. Okay? Now watch this. But we decide by covenant to live together. Now, if I'm whole, so I'm going to measure myself like a glass of water. Okay? I'm full. Come, baby, stand here. All right? Now, my wife is standing next to me, and she's also full. All right? So we are two full people, totally full. That means whatever I do for her is not because I'm trying to get something. Why? I'm full. Whatever she does for me is not because she needs something from me. Why? She's full. So whatever I give her is overflow. It's me saying, look, I don't need nothing. I just want to do this because I want to do this. Love is a decision to share with someone. But if she's half full and I'm half full, then I can turn her upside down and pour inside of me and put it back. Bam. What's wrong with her? Empty. She said, baby. She grabbed me. What's wrong with me now? Empty. And for 30 years, we keep fighting each other, trying to become whole. Because we're not single. Yeah. Her coming into my life is an overflow. You don't love someone because you need something from them. I need a man. Well, I better stop right there. Let me drink some water. Thank you, darling. Yeah. Drink it all right. All come together. All right. So Tom meet Jane. Cedric meet Maybelline. Junior meet Bessie May, whatever you want to call it. Now, Junior say, I love you. Bessie say, I love you too. Let's get together. Good. Why? Because I am going to be your better half. I want you to fulfill me. So Junior say, okay. So now Bessie May is full. She's happy. Junior got problems. Junior say, what about me? So he get mad, he take himself back. And what happened? Now, she half empty. So he say, you're supposed to fulfill me too. So now Bessie got problems. She unfulfilled, feel empty in this marriage. So she get mad. Boy, give me myself back, boy. What we get in marriage is this big fight going on, constantly, just fighting. Hey? But if two of these are full, and they meet each other, whatever he gives her is overflow. Whatever she gives him is overflow. And if he decides to leave her, she's still, I rest my case. Thank you very much. So this is the secret to a good relationship. It's not the other person, it's making sure you are becoming, what are they? You are whole when you don't need anybody to approve anything for you to feel good. You need people's approval, you got problems. You take your girlfriend shopping with you, right? You all go downtown, go in the mall. You put on this dress, you like this dress. You put it on, you come out of the dressing fitting room. What you think? And she go, nah. And you go, I think so too, child. And you go take it off. You lie and you like the dress. You're a whole person. You like the dress. You buy the dress. If she don't like the dress, that's her problem. This is your body and your money. That's a whole person. You ain't dressing for her. But it's a sign that you are sick still, see? And most of the songs we sing are songs of defective eggs. Oh, girl. I'll be in. I thought y'all was saved, man. In other words, you telling this girl that if she leaves you, you're going to be in trouble. That means you tie your entire peace and sanity to another person. You are sick. If you leave me now, you take away the deepest part of me. Woo-hoo! Boy, y'all know the whole thing. I mean, the song sounds so good, but it's satanic. What you mean if you leave me now, you take it? No, no, child. You leave me, carry yourself. I keep it what I got. I'm a whole man. Stevie Wonder, you are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always stay around. Okay, that's fine. So use the sunshine in my life. That means before you came, I was in darkness. And when you leave, I can be in darkness again. So I can't let you leave. You can manipulate me anytime. It's a sign that I'm not whole. So I would tell people, look, the way it's supposed to be is, look, I'm a sun, use the sun. When we get together, we form a constellation, baby. Suns together. Now, if you decide to leave a handsome brother like me, no problem. I still got my own sunshine. I'm a whole person. John chapter 1, the last 2 verses changed my life. It says, and Jesus, the people followed him and said, you are wonderful. You are great. You are powerful. They began to talk to him, all these good things. And the next verse says, but Jesus did not believe anything they said, because he knew what was in every man. He didn't need man's approval of him. Boy, that was beautiful stuff. Come on, give him a hand. Hey. That changed my life as a teenager, and I'm still that way. If you don't like me, that's your problem. Use your energy some other way. Don't try to dislike me, because I liked me before I met you. If you're full, you can be a blessing. But if you're half a person, everybody's in trouble. Because you now are a leech. You're sucking on people. You're just sucking on people. That's why you move from relationship to relationship to relationship. It's a sign that you are sick. You are just sucking on people, trying to find yourself, trying to complete yourself by sucking other people, and sucking them to death. Some people are married and they are sick and sickly and they are depressed. Why? They live with someone who's a parasite for 25, 30 years, man. Suck them emotionally, suck them psychologically, suck them financially, suck them physically, man. And it's like, God, please kill them for me. I don't want to talk about that. I just want to close with this. Loneliness is magnified by marriage. If you are not complete, marriage will expose it. Can I say it again? It's very important. All your defects will show up in marriage. So you think you're okay now? Get married. So you want to focus on yourself right now. You want to say, let me develop myself. Let me enhance myself. Let me read books. Let me focus on my intellectual development, my spiritual development now, my physical development. Let me get my hygiene sorted out. Hygiene. Let me get my vision sorted out. Let me decide what I want to do with my future. Let me get my purpose defined. Why? Because I want to make sure that when I bump into opportunity, I'm not a parasite. That's what we need. Yeah? So I hope that you open up your spirit. And this week, the reason why I have single seminars, and next year we plan even a bigger one, is so that you can be around people just like you. Let me tell you why. If you stay with me for the next 5 years, I guarantee if you stay with me, if you ain't whole, you can be whole. Now, here's the good part of that. By the time the next 3 years come along, we can grow to about 2,000 people, no problem. And all them in the room whole. Guess what that means for you? Plenty to pick from, child. Right now, I know it's tough because you can't find nothing much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create them for you. Give God a hand. We're going to fix this up. We can make this big time. You can walk in a place and say, let's see which one I want. Let me see. Because all them whole. Anything you can't miss. Because they've been through the process. Say amen loud. Yeah, man, because the stuff you got around you, I know, man. All kind of parasites all over the place. Tough to find a real plant. Parasites everywhere. That's why some of y'all ain't married yet. Because you can't find no real plant. And that hurts me because y'all are so good. Y'all are good people, man. Look at this young lady. Good woman. I can fix you up next year. In the name of Jesus. People need choices that are quality. I was telling Brother Kirk on the other day, a lady wrote one thing in Facebook. She said, you know, it's so difficult to find. I don't trust no man no more because, you know, I got hurt. And stuff. I said, look, if you're shopping in a store and you can't find what you're looking for, go to another store. That means you got to move around a little bit. You know, come to more events like this. You bump into futures. And you see, what's important to do is you want to bump into people who are going where you going. If they're going toward wholeness and you meet them, you're on the same road. So you don't want to be picking up all kind of junk and then try to make something out of it. That's too much hard work, you know. It's hard work. Eh? That's why I'm proud of you being here. You being here tonight, man, it makes me so proud. But and guess what now? I'm telling you now, if your boyfriend here with you, girlfriend here with you, boy, glad for you all tonight. Because you're all getting information you can't pay for. Come on, clap so no one can look at you. Yeah? That's too much stuff. Okay, I just wanted to repeat this before we go. Everyone read the number one. Read. When you're single, here's what you can do. Read. Manage your time. Number two. Number three. Number four. Number five. Manage. Number six. Number seven. Manage your 8. Number 9. Number 10. Number 11. And number 12. That's what you can do when you are single. You can't do none of them when you're married. Because now you get distraction. So don't use your time looking for somebody. Use your time becoming somebody. Some people are so busy looking for who they want, they ain't got time to be who they are. So when they do find who they're looking for, they ain't got no one to give them. Let me say it slow. We're so busy looking for someone we want, we don't have time to become who we are. So when we do find the person we were looking for, we have no one to give them. If you ain't nobody and you marry me, guess what I married? So you got to become somebody, your value.